Aloha. Hey, here's what we're going to be doing this week. Keep going with downstrokes. A little bit slower on your spideys, keeping those fingers right next to the fretboard all the way through. And the idea is if before you even put the fingers on the fretboard, just counting them out like 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4. You can go through them with all downstrokes, but the place we're getting to is upstrokes and picking at the same tempo without losing any of that pattern. It makes more sense to keep going through these finger stretches and then doing little adjustments, playing up notes. And then the end result is to be able to do a picking pattern called alternating or economical. Alternating is the one that I use. It goes down, up, down, up, down, up, or up, down, up, down, up, down. You'll see how I can use that right here. We're gonna change to it right here. And up, down, 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 up. Next string. Down, 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 down. Hope that's a better camera angle. And as you can see, the reason why doing some of those bends you have in the book is kind of weird. If you try doing a bend, like at that 7th fret on the 3rd string, the D string, or G string, just by with your first finger and went and bent it up, that's no way to bend it. It hurts your fingers, it pulls back this feeling of your flesh, no way. So 1, 2, 3, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, all 3 fingers are on there now. So when you attack that one note, you've got 3 fingers, or at least 2 more to support the one they're using to bend it up. That's how we do all bends. We support something behind it. And then hammer-ons and pull-ons are kind of in the same fashion. So if you go to the 3rd fret, 5th fret, you're going into the note, of course, and then you're hammering on, so you change the note, and then you're pulling through the note. You're not pulling off the note, you're going in like you're pulling it into the fretboard. I call it the telephone. Try it at all different frets. You can do it at the 10th, 12th. It's one of my favorites, the easiest, to the either, you know. So D to either. And then as far as your spider exercises, try starting 1, 2, 3, 4 after you do 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. And when you get all the way through with these notes at this speed, you don't really speed this one up because this is still a, and that's pretty fast. You know, that's 48, 50. If you speed it up to anything, just go through the notes after this in a single file or half. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So if you just 1, 2, 1, 2. Next time, if we don't do just these notes on them, we did 2 notes, we'd have. Now all of them. I would say come doing this kind of rotation, maybe 2 of each, and then go back to the original one. Not only will that help, but once you're doing it automatically, you could even look at it and go F, F sharp, G, G sharp. You go through the whole process of that, and then if you ever wanted to go down, or even if you go up and name them as flats, F, G flat, G, A flat, that would do wonders for the fretboard, but that's not necessary generally. And then we saw today 6 strings, 3 notes for a triad. Those are our chords, and through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 process, through the eyes of C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, we're going to have all those chords, and that's what we're going to use to explain. So keep going with those spider exercises, slowing them down as far as how fast you're going. Put more on one note and move those. Remember, you're going for pointy notes here, not so much flat notes. So work on the tippy tops of your fingers and moving them through. And then I guess one of the last things we kind of talked about was chordality, like the E major 7, how to form that shape, and like why I teach the way I teach. When you know that a song you're going to be playing, if I remember correctly, was the E major 7, and then it went up a whole step and turned that into an F sharp dominant 7, F7. What I would like to do is show that through the eyes of E major, going all the way down to A, seeing it through the eyes of A major 7, using a secondary fingering, you know, and even trying to do that, because even a B minor would look really cool over the top of that. An F sharp minor 7 is right there, and that's the same chordality that we had from this right here, which is able to flow through from one point to the other using the first quadrant, the second quadrant, the third quadrant, not in that order, to get down here. And all those notes, again, can be replayed because all of A major is F sharp minor's relative minor. So when we talk about A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, and then G sharp diminished, all 7 of those notes are relatable then for you and me because we've known how to talk about it in the key of C major. So when we talk about our B diminish, the B diminish goes to a C. Well, the G sharp diminish goes to a A. Just like every one of them has a special chord. It's the one right before it. That's what we kind of chatted about by saying key signatures. And that leads into the circle fifths. So the mechanism that we use to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just our first hand, when we get rid of our sus chords, like if we were playing a D major, D, E, F sharp, G, A, D, F sharp, A. So when we have the D, F sharp, A, that's the D note, that's the F sharp, that's the A note. We have an open A, open D, and you don't really play the E down here unless you wrap your F. Then you have a full chord, D major. When we play that D major and we put the G on top of it, we get a D sus 4. Why? D, F sharp, A, well G, D, E, F sharp, G is the 4th. So a major chord substituting basically the F sharp for the G gives us the tonality of it floating above our heads, you know? Sometimes it gives funk though. Ow! What we'll be talking about are just different ways to see do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All those are what I use to get from one place to the other. And we could go slow. And we would talk about pentatonics. That's a pentatonic way to get from here to there. Or we could talk modally. Or we could talk about any number of scales, whether there's 6-note scales, 7-note scales, 8-note scales. But what I need to do is make sure that we're on the same page. The chords we play are made up of 3 notes, and everything else we do to that, besides the C, the E, and the G, is a second, a fourth, a 6th, or a flat 7, or one of the 12 chromatic notes in between. We've developed a little bitty vocabulary and we just start discussing what that means. So you can start seeing those books as being something more than just a D major with 4 strokes, G major with 4 strokes, C major with 4 strokes, D major with 4 strokes. Because when we see it like that, it loses the luster. But if you know how to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E with that D, but play it as a sus 4, the root, G, C at 9, back to G, relative minor, back to D. It becomes a lot of fun. So what I want to do is take something like this, which is just top of the cuff, I have no clue what I'm playing, and be able to go, okay, this isn't in the book because it has more than just a couple chords. And know exactly where you are on the fretboard. And the reason why it's interesting to know that G major can be played this way and G major can be played this way is sometimes you might want to put a G major 7, a G dominant 7, and it's easier to do with these two than it is to actually use the lower notes here. Sounds great if you're going for that tonality, but as we said, there's not really one way to play the guitar. So we work on a couple different things. And the last thing I want to leave you on here is the spider exercises. They basically are the outline for your pentatonics. If you'll notice, going up to the 5th fret, doing the same thing. When you get up to the top and you play 8-5, 8-5, 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, 8-5, you get A minor. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It just so happens no sharps, no flats. That's why A minor is the relative minor of C major. So one of the things you and I would like to talk about, once we finish out the book there and you've got a grasp on it and we're playing just the chords that are in the back up there, if we were doing the jazz one, I think it was like E flat major 7 to that F. Well, when we're jamming together, I'm not always going to stay on that. I would have something like... And all those chords, they work with the one chord that we were going to play, but the chords themselves are only the chords of the natural minor, of the key. So what we're talking about is like understanding a major key and then understanding what the relative major is in every key, or just a couple to start with, and then influencing your playing. It's not about making one concept stick, it's about making them all stick by patty caking them all together. So a lot of the times when I've got students that are playing an A minor and they can't see the difference between an E major and an A minor, sometimes the communication barrier comes down to how I'm explaining it. Sometimes it comes down to the communication that there's nothing I will ever be able to do to have somebody play this E major as an A minor until they write a song onto where the E major is as extremely as important to them as anything else in the world. That's what music is to me, which is why I'm able to remember thousands of chords and structures and songs and notes. But the bottom line is, you don't have to do what I do. I hope you do what I did to get where I'm at. You find a couple different things like the book you got, complete it, feel that success, fill in the blank with a couple different teachers, couple different ideas, and then try to start writing a little bit of music and then playing out with people too. Other than that, I think it's wonderful. I'm gonna send 3 little clips on exactly how to do what I covered in here, and they're just gonna be shorts. There's something you can watch over and over again per request. Aloha.